Hi, I'm Julian Gaffney. I'm a guitar maker, currently apprenticing with Ervin Somogyi. My path here was initially through Luthier School, which I did at the Gallup School in the Midwest. After Luthier School, I went back home to the old haunt in New York and worked for Roger Sadowsky for about 7.5 years. And I've always loved acoustic guitars, and eventually that passion led me to work for Ervin, who I think is really representing kind of the pinnacle of that craft for me. Well, Irvin is very selective about the people he takes on. When I initially contacted him, I'd been aware of this sort of test that people had taken in the past that would allow Irvin to assess their abilities and the backgrounds they had and what they might maybe would bring to the table for him. And the test is, well, it was an interesting experience. There's the famous cube, which is you're tasked with taking a very oddly shaped block of mahogany and whittling it down to a perfect 3 by 3 by 3 cube with nothing but hand tools, a square and a saw and a chisel and a plane. I think Irvin is really, he's trying to assess your sort of problem solving. I mean, it's not an easy thing to accomplish with power tools, and with hand tools. I mean, it's quite difficult. Yes, it's a good test to measure how how frustrated you can get and how you react to it. We all, in terms of our work and our contribution to Irvin's guitars, it's all hands on deck. I mean, we sort of all do a little bit of everything. On any given day, you might find me bracing a top, you might find me fitting a neck, you might find me fretting a neck, you might find me setting up a finished guitar. You name it, we do it. The only things that the apprentices don't do on Irvin's guitars are the voicing. And generally, Irvin will be responsible for the surfacing and truing up of the fingerboards, which he's very particular about. A lot of my aesthetic inspiration comes from Irvin's work. I absolutely adore his work, and I think you can see it in the choices that I've made on my guitars. But I have a pretty eclectic sense of the things that I like. I like a lot of different and varied guitars. And I also have a sense that aesthetic is something that evolves for me. I really enjoy in other guitar makers seeing that evolve, and I think it will for me. And hopefully, I'll be able to enjoy it, seeing my own work evolve as well. So I've found in building that my favorite woods to use are rosewoods. They're beautiful and they serve their purpose very well. I love cocobolo. It's one of my absolute favorites. It makes a really lovely and I think sort of balanced sounding guitar. Really, the sky's the limit. I'll use almost any wood that's suitable in its material properties for a guitar. And I think the challenge that I really enjoy as a builder is being able to make a consistent instrument. Or to really shape the sound of an instrument in a specific way, regardless of the material that I'm using. Well, currently I'm offering two guitars. I make a modified dreadnought, which is a shape that Irvin came up with many, many years ago, and it's become a very popular shape. It's essentially a Martin dreadnought with a few very important tweaks, I would say. It's really a powerhouse. It's a fairly big body. I mean, it's a comfortable guitar. The waist has been shifted in a way that I think makes it a little bit more reminiscent of a smaller bodied fingerstyle guitar. The stock specifications are, a somewhat wider fingerboard, and it's really is geared towards fingerstyle. But I think as an instrument, it'll work in really pretty much any style. And the other guitar that I'm offering at the moment is my OM model. And the OM is sort of the ubiquitous luthier guitar. I love the OM. It's got a sort of feminine shape. It's a bit smaller. It's really, I think a lot of luthiers gravitate to that. It's a fun sized guitar to build. My particular OM was patterned off of a 1930 something Martin OM, which came into Roger Sadowsky's shop probably about 5 years ago. It's a little bit smaller than Ervin's OM, in keeping with the original Martin designs. And it's got a tighter waist, again, than Ervin's, but not necessarily than the old Martin OMs. And it's just, I think it's got a wonderful line to it. It's a balanced guitar. It's a great fingerstyle guitar, and I think it's my personal favorite. But it's tough to choose. The sound that I'm after in my guitars, I think, at this point, is very much informed by the sound that I've heard in Irvin's guitars. It's already evolving a little bit, as I think it will with any builder that comes through Irvin's apprenticeship. But for the most part, that's been the benchmark. Irvin's sound is, it's sort of eerie. It's his guitars are phenomenal sounding, and a little bit on the haunting side even. I mean, you hear one of Irvin's guitars and you sort of can't unhear it. So that's been the goal for me. That's been the place that I'm shooting for. Now, I think in the work that I've done so far, I've had a few people that have asked for a particular sound to sort of shape that and point that in a certain direction. So I think as I experiment and I do these things and I see what works and to some extent what doesn't work, I'm sort of learning exactly what it is to make the perfect Gaffney guitar sound. Gaffney guitars are available exclusively in Europe through the North American Guitar.